But I got up too soon.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Alright. Welcome back to this, the 142nd episode of Drunk Doctor Who, where we talk about the 142nd story of Doctor Who, Timelash.
Timelash.
Yep. Alright, essentially, I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
Hello.
I am drinking Captain Morgan spiced rum. Holden, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking White Claw still.
Keeping it on an even keel, so he can drive. Alright, you're welcome to stay the night anytime you need to, right?
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, slight irritation of the voice. I've had a bit of a nose cold last week and still recovering. This helps. Alright. Okay. If you can see by the cover here, we've got the Doctor and we have the Borat.
The Borat.
Alright. 2 episodes. Today is the 6th of February, 2024. And the number of episodes, 2. They aired from March 9th, 1985 to March 16th, 1985.
Very good.
This is the penultimate serial for this season. Next week we will tackle,
season finale.
Revelation of Dogs. Hopefully next week. Okay, today's Tuesday. We didn't do it Monday.
Today is Tuesday.
You had a family emergency. And next week we might have to do it on Tuesday as well.
Oh yeah, because
I may still be coming back from Houston on Monday evening. Just the timing depends. So we shall see. We shall see. All right.
When I hear Borat, I keep thinking of the Borat movie.
Oh, Borat, yeah. Cultural learnings of America for make better the glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
Movie film.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we start off on the planet Caliph. Carfel. The planet Carfel.
Carfelians.
Yeah.
Carfelons?
Yeah, it's apparently a very, very, very
small
dystopian society where the Borat is in control. Apparently they used to have a lot more people.
But they've really been going through them. A lot of public executions going on. Well, not so much executions as banishments, yeah. Exiled into the gulag of space.
Yeah. So they show this group of people, and there's like 7 of them, and 2 of them are a father and a daughter pair. And what's his title?
The Malin. Starts off with Malin Rennis.
Yeah. So something about the serials. There's a decent amount of characters.
Oh. I filled up all the names.
Yeah, but you don't see most of them for very long. They don't have a chance to develop most of them.
You have a few that keep coming up, and all the other 90% of characters are there for 1 or 2 scenes.
And it's just like boom, 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 boom. A lot happens in the serial, and not enough happens in the serial.
Yeah, it was. This is the first sort of. What do you call it? The longer episodes where it feels like there wasn't really enough story or plot to fill out the 2-hour-long episodes.
Yeah, despite the large number of characters and despite the amount of stuff that does happen, it feels like it was written for 3 of the 20-minute episodes, the 25-minute episodes. So 3 of those. But we ended up with 2 45-minute episodes. So you needed 4. So basically what would have been the 4th episode is all padding. Just flat out, all padding. And it's just like, okay, that was unnecessary. Okay, that was unnecessary. Okay, this is still going on. The plot was finished a while back.
It's as if they're writing it for the half-hour episodes. And this one was only like a 3-episode serial. And then they had the 2-hour-long episodes, so they had to pack on like a whole other half-hour episode that wasn't really there.
Really, just said that.
Okay.
I'm glad we're in agreement. Okay.
Did I say the same thing?
Pretty much, but yeah.
In my head, it sounded like a different point, but...
Well, you may have phrased it slightly differently, but yes, we came to the exact same conclusion on those points.
It's like they're still writing for the half-hour episodes, though. But at what point did they make that decision to make them, the longer episodes?
I don't know. If I went through and I watched all of there's a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And documentaries and stuff on all the Blu-rays, especially.
You haven't watched them at all?
God, no. I'd rather just watch Doctor Who. I'd rather rewatch my favorite episodes. But eventually, I'll be retired and bored, and I'll go through and I'll watch all that stuff, and I'll learn even more than I know now about the behind the scenes. All right. So essentially, there's this dystopian society where it looks like 12 people live in the Citadel. Find out later it's a whole 500. Mm-hmm. 500 people, and it's ruled by the Borat, and he's this kindly, gentlemanly...
Christopher Lee looking...
Christopher Lee at like 70, not 90.
Old Christopher Lee. Yeah.
No, 90 was old Christopher Lee.
Oh.
So think about 70.
Oh, okay.
Think about Count Dooku or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this kindly gentleman, and he runs the place, but he runs it with an iron fist. Mm-hmm. So
and he's a new addition to their governmental system. Right?
Well, apparently he's been there for a long while, but he's taken over the planet slowly but surely.
Yeah.
It took a long time, and he's changed their society. He's changed the number of people. Lots of people keep dying because they keep throwing them in this Timelash, which is a big pyramid-looking thing. They toss people in, and apparently at the other end of it is Earth 1176 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Scotland somewhere.
Yeah, Inverness.
So is Herbert Scottish?
I think H.G. Wells was English.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out Herbert is Herbert George Wells, H.G. Wells.
Not a companion like I thought he
But no, the author.
Is he a companion? He did travel in the TARDIS.
The companion slot was already filled by Perry, and he did not...
I guess Vin is also a new companion.
No. He
traveled in the TARDIS.
No, but they did not go from one story to another. And
neither did Sarah Kingdom.
Yes, but it was 12 episodes. 12 episodes. Like 6 times as many as this. And she was running back to the TARDIS to be saved. And, didn't make it. Yeah. Speaking, what was the death count in this?
I think it was right at 10.
Seems low. Okay.
A lot of people didn't actually end up dying. Like, you find out the people that go into the Timelash don't die. They're just being exiled.
I realized I saw my phone on me. Turn it off. I know, it's horrible. Alright, hold on. There's a way to turn it off. But it just beeped at me, so I was like, power off. Okay. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the people were just getting sent back to Scotland, so I guess they became Scottish. 1176. Some of them might be Jamie's ancestors. So anyway, there are several people we see just flat out die. 5 in the one fight. And I don't know, about 4 or 5 that get zapped with the death ray, the getting old ray.
Yeah.
And a couple of others. But yeah, so...
About 10.
Turns out this dystopian planet is run by kind of a big brother figure. And he can spot and watch anyone, anywhere, all the time. And he hears everything they're talking about, and he can see what they're doing. And it's this really weird mutant figure, Borat.
Yeah.
Okay. So he ends up finding out the Malin and what's the kid's name?
Which one? The daughter?
No, the son. No, sorry, the fiance of the daughter.
Mikros.
Mikros, yeah. So it turns out Mikros,
Slick back hair.
yeah, slick back hair. Okay, first of all, 3 of their friends get caught as being quote unquote rebels.
Yeah.
And they are thrown into the Timelash.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up being Scottish. All right,
Which is the worst punishment of all.
Well, 12th century Scotland, unless you're going to meet up with the Highlander, it's a pretty, basic existence.
I
So
have this one show. It's like this romantic drama. I can't. Might
Outlander?
Be called Outlander. Yeah, you know it? Time traveling.
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
I just heard Outlander. I just know Outlander.
Yeah.
I think they lost their main
terrible.
guy or something, but yeah. All right.
It's just the worst show.
All right. So the 3 kids get captured. They get tossed into the Timelash, which means we find out later they get sent back to 12th century Scotland. And this is a planet way the hell out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why they have a Corfo time corridor.
Carfell?
No, what's the name of the time corridor and the crystals? Not Chronon, is it?
I didn't write that down.
Alright, so, but this weird time corridor,
Time quarter.
through space and time, from that planet, then, well into the future, all the way to Earth, Scotland, in the 12th century. So, Borad hears them plotting against him.
Yeah, so they thought that they weren't being surveilled, which
But they were.
Where you get the Big Brother line of I feel strange. I've never not been under surveillance before. And they thought that room was safe because any surveillance equipment would mess with the machinery they have going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
But later they explained that yes, they are under surveillance because there's one listening device that was in the key itself. So when they inserted the key, it'd be insulated from
The rays. So
interfering with the
yeah. Alright, so
which is plot stuff.
Plaza. So the Milan is killed.
Mm-hmm.
After he basically has to probably kill his wife by sending all the energy to the Borad.
Right.
When his wife is in a hospital. I mean, and the hospital won't have any energy. He's like, I hope that she's strong enough to survive.
She's like, maybe she's stable enough to, be fine off of life support, and just flips the switch.
So yeah, he ends up being killed by the Borad, which I think is the first person in the serial to actually be killed, not just exiled.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So they make this real lickspittle, this real slimy, sleazy guy.
Oh, he's such a good bad guy. You just love to hate him.
All right, Tecker.
Mm-hmm.
Tecker. And he talks like this.
Very,
It's like, oh, Doctor,
Snake.
I will defeat you.
Like character.
Yeah, it's...
he just has the British villain face and the long teeth and the...
He talks like a weird cross between Severus Snape and,
Who else?
oh my gosh, what was his name? Little short guy used to write books. Truman Capote, yes, that's it, Truman Capote. And he talked a bit like this.
I've never heard him.
Truman Capote. Hey, did you ever see Murder by Death?
Oh, I've never seen the movie, I just scenes.
Okay.
That's the one with the talking
Right.
head on the wall.
Well, you know the host, right? The reason I called you all here.
Is that him?
That's Truman Capote.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a famous, author and occasionally actor, but he had that weird, lispy, slow-talking voice like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the new bad guy, Tecker, Malin Tecker. It's like, Malin Tecker. He demanded that title.
Yeah, the bad guy was just there to hold his spot for the actual bad guy to take his place. And Tekker's that bad guy. He's just the worst.
2K's in Tekker, right?
That's what I was asking you. I wrote down 2K's here, and I was like, is it 2K's?
I think it's 2K's in Tekker.
I think you're right, yeah.
So, alright. So you have the Borad, you have the Tekker, and what was that other race they were with?
The Bandrils?
I'm not sure if they'd be bad guys necessarily.
They were the good guys because they're only at war because
they were
of the
starving,
Borad. Yeah. Well, because of the Borad. They already had a treaty to send them grain so they wouldn't be starving.
But you saw the planet on the outside. It did not look like it'd support grain. I don't know if they're doing
that's a good point.
Farming underground.
Oh yeah.
You know, with the light systems and all that, like some places do now for pot, if it's where it's still legal.
Now what's getting big is these greenhouses where they take the plots of land that you plant them and they turn them like that sideways. So it's plants, they grow sideways and it's like library shelves. They just
really?
Yeah, it's great. Plants are cool.
You have to show me that. I haven't seen it. Alright, so anyway, Tekker becomes the new Maligned or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's a real sleazeball. Then he gets to go to, what's the daughter's name?
Vina.
He gets to go to Vina and go, oh, yeah, by the way, your father just died of a what was it, aneurysm or a heart attack or whatever?
A seizure,
yeah.
A seizure.
Your father just died of a seizure. Oh, it's worse than that, because, your mother died. Oh, and by the way, we're just about to execute your fiancé or exile him into the Timelash. And sorry, my dear. And he reminds me a bit of... there's no, sexual tension between him and Vina, but it's almost...
He gets off on her torment.
Her misfortune, right.
You're right.
It's almost like, what's-his-face in Lord of the Rings? Grimtooth Wormtongue?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the lady that he's, in that movie, really after. It's like, yes. It's like, ugh. But, yeah, and so, her fiancé says, the amulet. The everything's in the amulet. Mm-hmm. All the power's in the amulet. Mm-hmm. So she runs and she grabs the amulet off of the new Mylar's face, and she ends up getting knocked into the Timelash. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, the Doctor and Perry are having a debate about the Doctor's being a jerk as usual these days.
As usual.
Yeah. But he decides he's going to take Perry to something of Andromeda.
Yeah. As much as irksome as Colin Baker's Doctor is, I think Perry's the perfect companion for his Doctor. Because she's like a sweeter, nicer version of Tegan, where she kind of sticks up for herself, she talks back, she doesn't just, let the Doctor walk all over her. But she's still a very kind-hearted and compassionate person.
I still remember the last episode.
Oh, when she
whispered that at him. It was so funny.
So if anyone was to put up with Colin Baker's Doctor, it'd be Perry.
Now, once he gets to his next companion, Mel. A young lady... small, skinny, like a workout enthusiast. Jazzercise and Robocise and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. In fact,
she wears the leg warmers.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
So 80s.
It is 80s, but she's not like you would hope, like Olivia Newton-John doing the leg warmers stuff. She's not as pretty as that by a long shot. Unfortunately. But she actually keeps the Sixth Doctor pretty much on a leash. Oh. She manages to berate him into something approaching civility.
Well, somebody needs to.
Yeah, it's true. But anyway, Yeah, so she's there for a bit. But that'll happen next season. Alright, so the Doctor, and they end up in this Croton time, lash, time tunnel thing.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's trying to go up the tunnel the other direction. And he sets up belts for them to wear. Like
mountain
climbing belts, or what's the deal? Where you go from one deal to another.
Zip line?
Yeah, zip lining belts. Yeah. So they've got these belts on, and there's hooks for them into the TARDIS, and you're like, why the heck has he never brought these out before?
What I'm wondering is how he pulls them out of this
chest,
cluttered chest. How are they not tangled up, and then they just kind of fold them and drop them back?
Okay, well, to be fair, we've seen that chest or something very much like it many times before. Mm-hmm. The second Doctor's first serial, he ends up pulling the recorder out of that and other things. But we have seen that or something like it a few times. So somewhere in the TARDIS, the Doctor has a room full of stuff,
that doesn't get tangled.
Well,
there's actually a TARDIS circuit called the detangler that
that actually wouldn't surprise me, given what we see in the new stuff. Yeah. All right. So they brace themselves. They're going up this time corridor, and we're almost 2/3 of the way through the first episode of 2 before they actually finally make it to where they're going.
They pass
Vina
on their way through.
She does that sort of haunted mansion ghost thing, right? Like apparition. She's holding the amulet because she fell into the time lash. She's going down the time corridor, and they see her, and they're like, "Oh." But anyway, so they finally get up to the top of the time corridor and pop out, and the Doctor's like, "I've been here before." And he recognizes the planet.
But we haven't seen him on Carfell before.
Correct. It's not in any of these shown adventures.
But we find out it was Pertwee that was there.
Yep. Yeah, they've got a picture of him in his dashing self holding the locket, as if you didn't need more evidence.
They never explain that.
Well, it's kind of implied. Wait, you mean in the main show?
No, the whole locket thing.
Well, apparently he kept a locket of Joe's hair.
Why did he give it to some random dude on Carfell?
That's never explained.
So weird.
Maybe that guy saved his life.
So there's so much filler in this, but they just refuse to write any explanation for like the random shoehorn plot devices they shove in there.
Oh yeah, that was a nice trick. Oh good, I'll explain to you someday.
Yeah. They're like, we're not going to write any of this out, and we'll just put in a bunch of filler over here.
like if they'd explained everything, they would have had their 4th episode without having to have the filler, and we would have gotten more information.
It's like the BBC's trying to kill Doctor Who, and all the writers know it, so they're just like, we'll just write something.
Well, they are trying to kill Doctor Who at this point.
Yeah, but you get the feeling that the writers know, and they're not really putting in a high amount of effort.
Which doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
By the way, we've seen several good dystopian serials in the 80s Who.
Yeah.
Including The Vengeance on Varos earlier this season. And we've got an interesting one coming up. The Happiness Patrol.
Happiness Patrol.
Yeah. Well, was it? I haven't seen it forever. Which color clang is the good clang? The best clang? Green clang.
That's from the Happiness?
I think I'm misquoting it, but it's close. But yeah, there's several weird deals like that, and there's several very dystopian scenarios. Like we've already seen a whole bunch of them.
It's like the what do they call the police building in 1984? The Ministry of Love.
Yeah. The Orwellian language. I mean, the term comes from him, And don't get me started on politics, but yeah, we've seen a lot of that today. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. Anyway, so I can do a podcast just explaining to you that what the heck's going on today for 3 hours.
I have no idea what's going on.
I pay so much attention to it.
I catch a little bit here and there, and it's just like, man, people are angry.
People are crazy. All right. So anyway, the doctor finally shows up, and Perry's with him, and our snake oil salesman, Tecker, the doctor's like, wait a minute, how do you have this technology? He's like, don't worry, doctor, I'll explain all that later. In the meantime, let me show you some refreshments. And leaves them
never
off.
Explain how they have... And they kind of explain that it's because of the Borad, but it never explains how he has this Time Lord technology of...
Well,
all he says is the Time Lords don't have a monopoly on the Fourth.
Correct. And there's a scene there that isn't shown because it would have been boring. But you get the feeling that all the information was passed between Tecker and the Doctor in that scene when Perry's off being imperiled.
But they don't include any of it. They just include filler.
Yeah. All right.
It's like you have all this content you could explain and have a more coherent story. But...
Yeah. Once again, they were trying to cut off the show. All right. So, the Doctor and Tecker are talking. Tecker had set up a tour for Perry, but it's really a trap, of course. The Doctor sends Perry off on the tour because he's being myopic and foolish.
So, you remember the scene with the plant?
Yeah, where Perry picks up the plant.
Yeah, she's smelling the flowers. The android walks up behind her, and it looks like it pulls like some hair.
Yeah.
Out of.
Well, it took her necklace for St. Christopher. St. Christopher is the patron saint of travel, among other things. So she travels a lot with the Doctor, and it was traveling in Greece. Apparently, she's Catholic. Okay, because she's character's American. A lot of Catholics, when they travel, keep a locket of St. Christopher on them. So she was, he pulled the whole necklace and locket off of her neck. And pulled
it off and walked away with it?
Yeah, that's not explained.
They never explained that whole interaction.
That could have been another thing that would have been nice to know, but yeah.
And then Perry goes, wait a minute, he did that, and he's just like, oh, he didn't want you to lean too closely into the plant because it's a dangerous plant.
The plant
which isn't at all an explanation, and then she just goes, oh, okay.
Different planets, different customs, but...
What is happening?
But she does mention St. Christopher on it, and...
He takes her locket for no reason. And then they give this terrible explanation or excuse, and then she's just like, alright.
The only thing that makes sense is the Borad is already infatuated with her, which it's shown that he's infatuated with her. Although he does not acknowledge it till later. But the only thing that makes sense is he's already infatuated with her and he wants something of hers. Creepy, but Borad's character is all creepy, So... See,
that's what I thought they were going with it, but they never explained it that way either.
It never comes back around.
That he was getting DNA because later it says the Borad was experimenting with like gene manipulation and cloning. And
yeah, but it's with Caliphs, not humans. I don't even think it would have worked in the end, except he liked her. Oh, and by the way, she's had a wardrobe change.
Oh yeah,
she shows up clothed.
Everything.
Yeah,
the whole. Businesswoman's blazer. She's looking good.
A bit of velvet. It's a nice
yeah.
scarlet, and she looks good in it. But it's a change of pace from her, semi-nude that she's had the whole time.
Yeah. Sophisticated.
Yeah,
she wears it well.
Yeah, she does, and she's pretty in it. I don't know if she took it to the producers and complained about her semi-dressed state most of the serial, now that she was established,
It's like when Daenerys Targaryen negotiated out the nudity in her contract with Game of Thrones.
But it sounded something similar, yeah.
You'd have the watch parties, and they'd put the warning up, and it'd say, this is rated so-and-so for this, and that, and go like alcohol and suggestive themes and nudity. when nudity popped up, everyone would be like, yay! And then the first season, Daenerys Targaryen negotiated out nudity from her contract. The first episode gives you the title card warning and nudity shows up and everyone's like, yay! And it's just like a dude's member. It's the only nudity in that episode. Everyone's like, oh.
Okay, now which one was she?
She was the mother of dragons.
The one I hated, that used men and chewed them up and spat them out again. And every man was like, I will give you my life. I will give you my armies, my countries, my everything. And she was like, oh, thank you. Okay, good. Okay, I've used you up. Goodbye. Yeah, I hated her. And it turns out she was the big bad guy anyway, so I'm glad I hated her.
Well, that was spoilers.
If they haven't seen it by now.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
Alright. So anyway. Alright. Perry goes off, and she's taken off by one of the guards, who look like beekeepers.
Yeah. Weird outfits.
Well, it's so they can disguise their faces so that they can die but still play other cards.
I thought that... Oh. I thought it was like weird robots because the first guy in the bee outfit, he has no neck. And I'm like, that guy looks ridiculously silly. And I'm just assuming that's what they all look like with big shoulder pads or something. But no, that one actor just didn't have a neck. And the other guy comes out with the same helmet on, looks totally normal with it.
But there's at least 4 of them because 4 of them die in the one scene. Alright. So anyway, Perry is being taken to the caves. They're going to kill her. And she manages to escape by shoving that plant into one of the guards' face. Yep.
Yeah, I thought they were lying about the plant being dangerous just as an excuse, but it worked. Yeah, she melts his face. I don't think he died. He's not on the death count.
He had acid spewed into his face.
We can add one. 11.
Okay, 11. Okay. We don't know for sure.
She melts his face. She
makes
it into the tunnel that they're going to take her into anyway.
Right. The android's following. Oh, there's an android that looks like what? Captain Planet?
Captain Planet. Blue face, green hair. He has this like high squeaky android voice. It's so weird.
Yes.
If you're going to make an android, why would you make him look like that? It's just so bizarre.
I don't know, but this came out before Captain Planet, to be fair.
Yeah.
Captain Planet might have been modeled after him.
Captain Planet.
And he talks like this.
Yeah. Not like the androids.
So the android shoots at her. She gets away. She's in the caves.
They're like, oh, we're going to throw her in the cave anyway, so.
Yeah. She was getting eaten by the Moloch. Morlocks. Which, what's the name of the creatures? That's perfect. No. The Morlocks were the creatures in the time machine who lived underground and fed on the dwellers above.
Oh, in the Time Machine book?
And the movies, yeah. Who lived underground and fed on the creatures above. And so in this, it's the Morlocks who live underground and feed on the creatures above. That's the first time I've caught that. Out of the 4 times I've seen this.
You're sharp.
Oh, thank you.
Is that what they're called in the...
In the Time Machine by H.G. Wells, yeah.
Ah.
So he heard the word, he heard the term, and he wrote it into the Time Machine.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was so convinced Herbert was going to be a companion. Just from the moment and then you said no, and then I immediately convinced myself you're lying.
And then he sneaks into the TARDIS.
He basically becomes a companion for the serial. I'm like, I was right. He is going to be a companion, and then he doesn't.
There are almost no one-shot companions in the old stuff, and when they are, they're over big-ass serials like Dalek's Master Plan, like Sarah Kingdom. She is the singular exception for that, you know. Most companions run for multiple serials. In the old stuff, in the new stuff, you have a few one-shot companions, especially in the specials after series 4.
I liked Herbert though.
Hmm?
He's like an older Adric. He's just
kind of.
I think
He's
he
not
would've made-
scared. Well, until the very end.
no. Adric wasn't really a coward. That was more what's his face? The cowardly one.
Oh, Turlo.
Turlo. Yeah, that was Turlo's
Oh my gosh, that was his whole
key
shtick.
personality trait.
All right. So anyway, so Perry's down in the caves. She runs into this giant Morlock penis-looking monster.
Mm-hmm.
And
Not
that's
the end of the episode.
where it probably would have cut between episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
If they had been a 4 or 3 episode serial with the shorter times. But it doesn't. We're still going.
Luckily, though, her screams alert the rebels in the tunnels. They come, and I'm confused at this scene because at one point, Perry's getting threatened by the Morlocks, right? And its long neck, and it's nipping at her, and then the rebels come out and they shoot at the Morlock.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, there's just an android in flames, which I thought, the android was disguised as the Morlocks? Or-
No.
What happened in that transition?
That gets explained later.
Oh, it does?
Okay. You remember the scene where the doctor's got the time manipulator and it sends things back about an hour?
An hour.
Yeah. So the android on fire was sent back from that particular fight scene to there. And they even asked the doctor, hey, wait, an hour? We saw a burning android. Was that your handiwork? He goes,
Okay.
What?
See, I did not get that. I was so confused.
There's actually a decent amount going on in here.
That was good, though.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Makes sense stuff.
Alright, so anyway, they take her and she's chained up, manacled. And they're asking her questions. The rebels, these are rebels down in the caves. They want to kill her. Well, the one guy wants to kill her. Sovin?
Cezanne.
Cezanne wants to kill her.
I think.
That's correct. Cezanne at Farchi Rocks or whatever.
Yeah, and then Katz, which is the other kind of like main rebel, doesn't want to kill her. And they're going, well, who sent you? And she goes, you won't believe me, I'm from Earth. The doctor sent me. And
She's
the
like,
doctor,
the doc-
we know the doctor.
My grandfather knew the doctor. He gave her this lock. He gave my grandfather this locket, and there's a picture of Joe Grant in there with a little bit of hair.
Which, luckily, Perry knew who Joe Grant was from...
Pictures in the TARDIS that we've never seen her see.
Never.
But apparently she's running into them. So somewhere in the TARDIS is an office.
Joe Grant.
An office with some pictures of companions on the desk or something.
Do you think he keeps pictures of all companions? Or maybe you just really like Joe Grant? Because I can't imagine he has a picture of like Katarina or Dodo sitting in his office.
Probably not. He didn't like either of them. But Joe Grant, remember, was endeared to him much in the way that probably Sarah Jane Smith was, because he walked away from her wedding party without saying goodbye, because he hates goodbyes and because he was so sad at her leaving, But he wanted the life for her.
I think, it's only a couple of companions he keeps pictures of. That's probably Sarah Jane Smith, Joe Grant, Jamie, and then Romana 2. Just the second one. He didn't like the first one.
I like the first one. But I mean, he liked her so much he married her, And probably Susan.
And Susan, yeah. Well, that's his granddaughter.
Yeah.
I always want to call her his niece. I don't know why.
Yeah, you did that last time.
I do that.
I watched it. I was like, what? All right. So anyway, the doctor is being blackmailed on Perry's life, or with Perry's life, to go back and get to go down the time corridor with his TARDIS by Malik Tekker.
To get the
amulet.
key.
Yeah, the key. So the Doctor goes back to gets in the TARDIS, thinks he's saving Perry's life. Although they've already tried to kill Perry, and Perry's ended up in the Rebels' hands. So the Doctor goes down the time corridor with the TARDIS, and he winds up at a small cottage up in the Highlands near Inverness, where he runs into Herbert. Herbert was
George Wells.
Yeah, Herbert George Wells, H.G. Wells. He's reading a book, and he's playing around with a Ouija board. And Tina, what's her name? Vina just kind of shows up and faints. She's like, "Help me," and she faints. He does the gentlemanly thing. We don't see this, but he puts her onto a pallet, a bed, and he takes the amulet she was clutching and he puts it in a purse under the pillow. You know, let me give you this even though you're unconscious, basically.
All the while exclaiming Britishly, "Oh goodness, my Necronomicon worked! I summoned an apparition."
Kinda, not quite those words, but anyway. So he, and he leaves her fully clothed, as a gentleman does.
Great.
And she finally wakes up, and she's like, "Well, thank you for taking care of me." He's like, "Good." And then they hear the TARDIS coming, out, and he's like, "Oh no, another apparition." She's like, "You must help me." And so the Doctor,
ridding spirits,
exercising spirits. So the Doctor shows up, and he's got a crucifix and a Bible, and he's trying to exorcise the Doctor. The Doctor's like, "What?" Anyway, so he's like, "Okay, you, Vina, I need to take you back with me. We need to take the amulet." Vina's like, "Well, no, I don't want to go back." And he's like, "We kind of have to."
This little tete-a-tete. He's not a demon. They're all friends now. They trust each other. And Vina says, "Well, those are my people, and I'll go back with you. I'll bring the locket because, of course, I don't want my people to die." So they get in the TARDIS. They say, "Not you, Herbert," but he stows away anyway.
He goes to the back area, but he sneaks out the back door and he goes into the TARDIS. And so they take the TARDIS back. Unwitting, they don't know Herbert's on board. He pops out and he's like, "This place is amazing!" And he comes out of the back room and he's mapping out the corridors, and the Doctor's like, "Wait, what?"
Do you understand condensation?
Yes.
So, alcohol doesn't freeze, like vodka doesn't freeze.
It freezes if you get it cold enough.
Well, not like water does.
Yeah, but the freezer that my in-laws left in my garage will freeze that rum. It will freeze vodka, and will freeze whiskey. I don't know what it's set to, -30, -40.
Like a meat deep freezer?
Yes, it's a meat deep freezer.
I feel like you get freezer burn at those temperatures.
What
would you keep in there? Jerky?
A cow. They butchered a cow.
Oh, nice.
And they put a cow in there, basically. And I'm like, I will trade electricity costs and storage space for meat. So, once a week I'll take some meat out of there and I'll eat it. I think once they've come and they've gotten some meat and taken it to their house, but it's a super deep freeze, so I keep my alcohol in there. But it will freeze vodka. It will freeze rum and whiskey. It's so cold.
Well, like your kitchen freezer, that's at 20 degrees?
I think 0 or
zero.
Yeah.
But alcohol doesn't freeze at 0.
Not at 0. No. This has got to be like -30 or -40 or something.
So, where does the condensation come from? So is it just the water in the alcohol that's condensating and then freezing?
No, it's any water in the air.
In the air.
Yeah.
And then it gathers on the bottle. So it doesn't necessarily come from the bottle, the condensation.
No, I believe it's from the air. But that came from the deep freeze. That's why it's like that. It would not be, that bottle would not be like that in my refrigerator, my freezer.
Oh, so like going in the bottle's warm, and that creates the...
Yes.
And then it Oh.
Yeah, so you put the bottle in there and it's warmer, and then when it ends up getting colder, it ends up with that condensation, right?
Oh. Huh. I never understood condensation.
I could probably be horribly corrected by some scientist on our YouTube channel, but I have a little bit of a grasp on it.
This is watertight until there's condensation. Then a little bit of water goes through it.
Well, it
doesn't make any sense.
It's like on your glass, okay? So you have cold, and then you have warm air.
So it's the
warm air gets cold.
Moisture in the air.
Right, the moisture in the air freezes a little on the glass.
So it's not coming from inside the glass; it's coming from outside the glass.
I think so. But that's why you have rings that you leave on cork and on wood and stuff, because to the best of my knowledge, the air condensates.
That makes more sense. Well, that's our chemistry section of the podcast. Thank you, Hatter.
All right. So the doctor brings back Vina and Herbert, and they end up going back to Calfer.
Do you think she likes sausages? Vienna sausages?
That's horrible. Okay.
Vienna sausages?
Well, she likes what's-his-face, who ends up the Mylar or whatever. What's his name? Mokir or something? Mikros, her fiance. So
I have to find it in the long list of names.
There's so many characters. There's so many of them just have 3 lines.
That many I should have actually written down, and there are all these other names.
Alright, so the doctor goes back. Mylar Tecker is like, oh. The doctor's like, wait a minute. Here's the amulet. Where's Perry? You shouldn't believe everything Ray tells you. He's so slimy. And he's like, oh, by the way, we're going to throw you all into the Timelash. And the android, Captain Planet Android, comes up, pinches the doctor's neck, and starts pushing the doctor into the Timelash. End of episode 1.
End of episode 1. The actual ending.
Yeah.
Not like the
pseudo endings.
Yeah. They really write the halfway point. It must be like a commercial break or something, because they give you that big cliffhanger where I don't know what's going on. I never really understood the phrase punchable face. Like, I'm like, how could you want to punch someone just by looking at their face? And then I saw Tekon's face, and I'm like, I kind of get it now. That's a punchable face.
He's just a horrible guy.
You just see his face and you want to punch him.
All right. So episode 2, the doctor uses a mirror that he took from Herbert's cottage because they noticed there were no mirrors.
No mirrors.
On
so he says something like that might come in handy. He sticks it in his pocket.
So he takes the mirror out and he really screws with the robot, with the android. Apparently it can't handle the mirrors coming back at it because it can't compute things, or it messes with its optical input.
There's 2 things they said. So in episode 1, they said mirrors were totally banned, and that's when they're in the little control room talking.
And the only mirror
the only mirror on the planet was in that key. And
because it had to be to reflect that stuff.
And they said they banned all mirrors on the planet, which is weird. Like, how do you just polish some metal? It's a reflective surface. How are you going to ban...
Well, I mean, he did. Everything was matte.
I guess so.
Okay.
But it's because he uses androids, and apparently the mirrors mess with the androids' visual.
Yeah. Well,
but also, he doesn't like his own reflection.
Oh, yeah. He's ugly. He's ugly as sin.
So it's a little too far. But they never really explain that. But
you'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
So
the doctor holds that. They bump the android into the Timelash, along with 1 bad guy who remained. The rest fled. So the rebels who had been captured, Perry, who had been captured, The doctor was about to be fed in that. All these people managed to have an insurrection there in the main room with the Timelash, the inner sanctum, and they managed to get the doors closed. And that includes Vina and Miklos, and all the others, the 3 rebels and everyone else. And so they are fighting against Barad.
You know, when your brain can't really help but to word associate, every time I hear the word rebels, I hear Houthi rebels.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I just, I don't know why. I just want you to, is that what you think of?
No, cheers. I think more Star Wars, but
you know,
sure.
every time you hear a word and your brain just is hardwired to associate it with something. So like someone says something and then in your brain you finish the
thought.
Yeah.
Like you say
rebels,
super.
Houthi.
Somebody might think man. I'll think dome. You know.
2 men enter.
One. No, Super Dome was in, where we went and saw the Saints play a couple times.
Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this Sunday, the Super Bowl.
And they
the
go
Chiefs and the 49ers. And I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
How about you?
I mean, who is it?
Well, Mahomes went to Tech here, and he played for Tech.
Yeah.
So we're rooting for Mahomie.
Mahomie.
And I hate the 49ers because they were in the Saints division forever, and
Yeah.
they dominated the division forever, so
It's going to be a good
screw
game.
them, yeah. Hopefully, well, I'm just kind of hoping Kansas City runs away with it, but I also wouldn't mind 3 overtimes.
They're 2 pretty solid teams.
Agreed.
I can't
Actually
imagine them running away with it.
We
I
shall
think
see.
the 49ers will
We shall
put up
see.
good.
But I will be in Houston at the convention,
Yeah.
so we won't have the Super Bowl party we usually do here, unfortunately. But
You'll be
that's
watching on
the way it
your
is.
phone.
No. There'll be restaurants and bars and TVs.
Oh, so you won't be like in the convention during the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl starts at 5:30. The convention ends at 6. I'm hoping to get out of there by 5.
There you go.
Go to the restaurant or bar and watch the game.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So, the Doctor and the Rebels and the
They locked
Patriots,
down
they locked down in the place. And the Borat is like, I want Perry.
He has a crush.
He has a crush on Perry because she's beautiful, young, plucky, and very, she can handle herself. And she proved that when she fought off that Gardelon or whatever,
Yeah. And with the plant thing,
Yeah.
they say she can handle herself, which I think is accurate. I think she's a good companion.
She's capable.
But that's also her character that she's just written as like an attractive person. So that's what every character
Well,
says.
she is
about
an
her.
attractive person.
Yes. But even
You
when
could
she
have an ugly
escapes,
person
she goes, "Oh,
written
it's
as
a
an
shame
attractive
she was-"
person and it wouldn't work,
That would be awesome. I would love that character, like just the ugliest companion, and everyone swoons over.
No. Just have a movie where you have a super ugly person. Like I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe the little dwarf guy in Twin Peaks or something. And you write him off as everyone falls in love with him on first sight because they're so beautiful. I don't think that would work. I mean, there's a suspension of disbelief that would not work.
The trope I always like is in sci-fis where a human sees an alien for the first time. They go, "Oh gosh, you're hideous," and they go, "To me, you're hideous. I'm beautiful to my."
Well, true, but we're humans. We know what human beauty looks like. Although cultures will differ. Cultures will differ. Some cultures consider certain things beautiful that you and I would not consider beautiful.
Have you played Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, for about an hour and a half.
You didn't like it?
It was World of Warcraft with other people, so I could
it's
play
Dungeons
it. I
and
played
Dragons. It's all.
Wait, is this the new
story-based.
Baldur's Gate 3?
Baldur's Gate 3?
Okay, yeah, it killed my computer. It killed the video card. I've got to get that thing fixed. It was too much for my video card.
Didn't Valheim also kill your graphics card?
I don't remember.
What's going on with your graphics card?
Okay,
I
so
think
a
you'll
friend of
like
mine
Baldur's
convinced me to build my computer myself, and I did it with his help, and I'm still having problems. I'm never building another computer again. It's not like it used to be with the super plug-in stuff.
Full Legos.
When I had my Commodore 64.
I built my gaming PC. And in every second of it, I was like, this is the worst decision. I should have just ordered a pre-made. And the second I got it put together and running, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Everyone should build their computer.
No, I apparently suck at it, alright?
Yeah, me too. I think
55,
everyone does.
You know, it's like, alright.
But once you get it together, you're like, oh yeah, it's totally worth it.
It was not for me. I'm still having problems. Baldur's Gate 3 killed my video card. Alright. Anyway, so, I can't even run Terraforming Mars now without it crashing my computer.
Sounds like it's having like an overheating thing. You think it's the fans again?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
It's problems. Alright. Anyway. Alright, you taking a break?
Yeah, take it.
Alright. Good, I can advance the plot.
No, I'm not getting us off topic. You're getting us off topic.
Uh-huh. Alright. So anyway, the doctor's like, okay, we need to fix some things. So the doctor goes into the Timelash pyramid, and he goes down there to get some crystals, and he manages to get the crystals with the help of some guys holding the rope to keep him from getting sucked into the gravity time pull, the time tunnel, and take him back to Scotland. And he gets the crystals. Herbert goes down there to help him. Malkor, whatever his name is, goes down to help him. And eventually he gets out. So he ends up fiddling with stuff and creating a device that causes a 10-second delay in where he is. So he moves 10 seconds in the future and does stuff, and people see an image of him. And he demonstrates this. And they're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. And he also creates a device with a crystal that will reflect the beam of light that comes at it, or whatever energy, back at the user in 10 seconds. So he essentially, eventually the android and the guardians and what have you start to break down the inner sanctum, and they destroy the door. They come charging in, and for the Gardelons, weird name, but they die. Sevon, or Saxon, or whatever his name is, he dies, unfortunately. I really liked him. But the rebels went out. In the meantime, the android fired at the doctor, and the doctor fires back the android with that crystal, what the android fired at him, and it puts the android on fire. It's burning, but it gets sent back in time an hour, which is the android on fire that ends up in the caves that we saw earlier when Perry was being rescued by the rebels. So the doctor goes to see Borad, and Borad's like, finally, the doctor comes to see me. And the doctor is being followed by Herbert to go see them. In the meantime, there's this other race, these little snake-like people, who are coming to destroy the planet and the people in there because they will not honor the treaty of mutual cooperation where they send grain to the planet of snakes, and so they're going to destroy them. And Mylar Tekker's antagonizing them at the behest of Borad, which is sad because they're going to destroy everything on the planet except reptilian life, of which Borad is reptilian.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Ah, dang it.
Alright, so the doctor goes to see Borad, and Borad reveals himself. And he is that weird reptilian thing with the long fingers, and the half human-esque humanoid and the half Monclar or whatever, and he's just hideous. But apparently, this is turns out the Doctor knew the scientist back in the day when he previously was there. Oh, and there was a break in a wall that revealed the third Doctor, which is how they substantiate that the third Doctor was the Doctor that was there before, and gave the locket with Joe's hair,
for some reason,
Joe's picture to the grandfather of, what was her name?
Joe Grant? Who?
No, the young lady.
Oh, Katz.
Katz, with Katz, yeah.
Do you think that Pertwee's Doctor going there in the past somehow has to do with the Borad having time capabilities? Do you think he... I don't think that Pertwee would have imparted that kind of abilities, but he might have maybe stole something. We don't know.
It's not explained. It's possible, but it's more likely that this super intelligent creature, a Borad, came up with it himself. He's got the mind of, 20 people, the strength of a bunch of people. Well, even though he's in a wheelchair the whole time.
Yeah, he looks...
And the lifespan of 12 centuries,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who knows what's going on there?
Yeah. So, he does the villain thing and tells his entire plan to the Doctor. While the Doctor is under gun from Mylar Tecker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the worst.
Yeah, and seriously, he's like, oh yes, the what's her name, the Bandalorians or whatever.
Who, the bandit?
The other race.
Oh, the Bandrils.
The Bandrils. Yeah. The Bandrils are going to send down this rocket that will destroy all life on this planet except the reptiles. It'll just be me and the Mycalars. And suddenly, for the first time, Tecker shows some integrity for his race. And he walks up to the front of the deal and he goes, oh no, you can't destroy my people. Knowing full well and seeing full well, this guy has a little button he pushes and kills people right in front of it.
He's like, hold on there, let me stand on your trap door before I threaten you.
Exactly.
Walk in front of your death beam.
And Borat pushes the little toggle and kills him into a skeleton, which ends up on, what's his face's show?
What?
Okay, there's a show of a Scottish guy who has a skeleton in it for the cold opens.
Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson, right. So he ends up a skeleton on the Craig Ferguson show.
I can't remember his skeleton's name.
You know Craig Ferguson's done a Doctor Who cold open?
No.
Yeah.
For his talk show?
Well, yeah, for that late night show, yeah.
Oh, no.
And it's great because he goes, yes, people they call the Doctor, or they call Doctor Who, pardon me, the Doctor. He corrects himself on it. It's hilarious.
He's great. One of the only talk show hosts I actually think is funny.
Oh, he is. But he's got a great Doctor Who cold open. But anyway, so Tecker gone. Pretty much everyone else of this entire friggin' race gone. The Doctor looks at him and he says, he does the bad guy thing, explains all of his plans for Perry. He wants to turn Perry into a horrible mutant like himself, do the exact same way, which was, he was experimenting, and the Doctor knew him back in the day and reported him to the Caliphs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And say, this guy's experimenting with these things.
Did he report him to... He said, what do you call it, the Inner Sanctum? Was he reporting him to the Time Lords or to the...
No, to that planet.
Carfils.
Carfils. So, he reported this guy, and they ended up punishing him, but he ended up turning into this freaky mutant by his own experiment.
Yeah.
Because the Morlock attacked him when he had this gas on him that killed the Morlock, mostly killed him, but melded their flesh and then him creating the him that he is now. And he wants to do that to Perry, so he'll have a mate and they'll populate the planet. delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, real evil villain
Yeah.
nonsense. And the doctor's like, how do you even know this will work? Is this experiment replicatable? Or you just could kill it?
Yeah.
He's like, it'll work. It worked on me.
What kind of scientific, standard is that?
Science to that.
So, Doctor uses a little 10-second thing. He goes around trying to free Perry. In the meantime,
Herbert up there in the
Herbert's
rafters.
up there in the rafters looking at him. Borat's trying to kill him. We see things through Herbert's eye.
So
The doctor eventually ends up right in front of him, and he goes, "Look, I wouldn't fire that beam. It'll be a grave mistake." And Borat's like, "I'm tired of your statements and puns, Doctor. You're horrible." And
I mean, this really comes out of left field. Like, what? They didn't explain the crystal being able to absorb his time. Well, I guess so. It's a time crystal. So
no, they explained the crystal being able to absorb anything and shooting it back out 10 seconds later.
they did explain that.
The doctor explained that earlier when he was setting it up.
So that's how the 10-second time loop works.
Well, there were two crystals he picked up.
So it absorbs.
One he set up with the time loop with the visual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other one he set up to repel, take in anything and repel back.
Okay.
And he showed this in the inner sanctum where the Timelash was to the rebels when they were preparing to defend themselves against the onslaught.
To be fair, I don't think he explained it very well.
Yeah, he did. I mean, anyway, he did.
I might not have been listening very well.
Okay, so there you go. So the doctor's like, "You don't want to fire that death ray," and Borat's like, and Borat fires it, and the doctor absorbs it into the crystal. The doctor says, "I warned you," and then he starts counting down from 10, and the Borat's like, "What? You tricked me!" And he goes, zoom, the thing comes out. The doctor goes, "No, you tricked yourself."
Yeah.
And the Borat dies of old age. All right. End of episode 3, where it should have been, and now we get a full, what would have been the 4th episode worth of filler. The second half of the second episode is all filler.
So we've seen Colin be pretty evil. Colin Baker's doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's something different about him pointing the thing that's going to kill the person at the person and then counting down the 10 seconds until it kills the person.
The guy fired it though. He told him not to fire.
Yeah, but he's holding the thing that could kill him and he could just went...
It's a darker
And he
doctor.
sits there and he goes, 5, 4. He's just looking him in the eyes as he's going to kill him.
It's a darker doctor.
I thought that was very dark.
Yeah. Alright.
He's like, "I warned you.
Yeah.
I could not kill you, but I'm going to... My hands are forced."
Alright. So here's the filler. 20 minutes of filler. The doctor runs off. He sends Herbert to go get Perry. Herbert gets Perry because Perry was chained up and the mongrel thing was going to get her. Herbert gets her. Yeah. They run off and there's a missile coming at the planet from the Bendrals. Bendrals. Missile coming at the planet is going to destroy all life on the planet except the reptiles. And the doctor goes, "Okay, I need to go in the TARDIS. I need to save this planet." Perry comes in the TARDIS. The doctor's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, I'm trying to help." 5 minutes of him saying, "Look, I don't need your help. I don't want you here.
Ugh.
You could die." And they're arguing and arguing and arguing. Finally, he almost picks her up and throws her out of the TARDIS. Not quite. And she leaves. In the meantime, Herbert's come in. And the doctor's about to take off to stop the missile.
It's the same conversation.
It's the exact same conversation. 5 minutes of the doctor convincing Herbert, "You need to go." Herbert saying, "I'm not going to go." Finally, the doctor's like, "Okay, we're out of time. I've got to go." and the doctor says that the TARDIS to basically block the missile from hitting the planet, being hit by the missile itself. 5 minutes of Herbert going, oh, the missile's going to hit us. Oh, we're going to die. Oh, I see. The doctor going, stop saying I see. He's like, oh, I see. I'm sorry. And finally, there's a scene where the Bendrall ambassador, the missile explodes. The Bendrall ambassador calls down and he goes, hey, the doctor stopped the missile, but he also sacrificed himself in the TARDIS. And we're sorry, but he was, president of the Time Lords, and due to his sacrifice, we're going to call off this attack.
I mean, he's not, though. He's not still president of the Time.
He is currently president of the Time Lords.
But he just left.
He did, but he's still president of the Time Lords.
They didn't elect someone else as president?
Yeah, long story. I'll explain later. So anyway, so they leave. So that's finished. The doctor comes down. Turns out he's not dead, and he's like, Perry thought he was dead. Perry was
frustrating part of it is he spends 5 minutes telling Perry it's going to be alright, I'll be fine, and you can't come with me because it'll be dangerous, but I'll be fine, and you can't come because it's dangerous. He finally gets her off the ship, and he spends another 5 minutes talking to Herbert about how we're going to die, there's zero chance of
Herbert's
surviving.
Like, well, this is Min's work. It's okay if Perry left. This is Min's work.
And you see, yeah,
attitude of a century,
Herbert had this breakdown as he realizes his mortality and he's going to die. And the doctor just stands there telling him he's going to die, and then they don't die. It's like, why would he put Herbert through that torture?
So the Perry's like, I thought you died. He said, great trick. I'll explain it to you at some point. Doesn't make any
sense. He's the worst.
Which he never does. The doctor,
the worst.
It's that trope of I'll explain it later, and he never ever does. And it's made fun of so many times.
It's like the doctor going, you're gonna die. There's no chance of survive. Surprise! You're alive. Funny joke. It's not funny.
So the doctor and Herbert show up, and
what?
Borad shows up again.
Yeah,
more filler. It was a clone. His clone died. He's still alive. He's trying to capture. He captures Perry.
Or was that the clone?
I don't friggin' know. So. So finally the doctor convinces him, or tricks him in, he's like, well, Perry, you might change her to what you want her to be, but she'll still be repulsed by your visage. Finally, the doctor breaks past the picture of himself on the wall of the third doctor, and there's a mirror, and Borad's like, ah... And the doctor corners him and kind of forces him into the Timelash. And then the doctor destroys the Timelash with the amulet's energy, throws the amulet in, and he destroys the Timelash. So the connection between their planet and Earth is broken. And Perry's like, well, wait a minute. You sent him to Earth. He's like, yeah, but he'll have a place to swim around for 1,000 years or so. But won't he be seen? Oh, occasionally. And it turns out the Borat becomes the Loch Ness Monster. And
didn't they already explain the Loch Ness Monster was something else, though?
Yeah, don't ask questions. So then the doctor had discovered the card, and we find out it's H.G. Wells. The doctor takes H.G. Wells back, and he's going to describe all this stuff in his stories. And then they take off, and everyone lives happily ever after. Any questions?
Not everyone.
Well, a lot of people died, but those who lived.
So, Pertwee's doctor has been to Carfill before. Had a locket of Joe Grant's picture and a lock of her hair.
Very, very traditional. Yeah.
Which he gives someone on this planet
for
that gives it to
no
cats.
known reason, yeah.
Yeah, and because he was there, they really liked him. They put up a portrait of him.
They talked about him in their storybooks.
They put up a mirror, and then they put up a portrait in front of the mirror, and then they put up a wall in front of the portrait in front of the mirror.
Well, that probably happened when the Korad, when the Borad took control.
But why was there a mirror behind the picture of Pertwee?
Yeah, no clue.
And how did the Doctor know that there's a mirror behind the picture?
Well, he would remember.
I guess he was there when they put up the picture.
Because he was there when there was a mirror. They put the portrait in front of it.
It's a good memory. Selective memory. Nothing makes sense. Nothing's explained. They have nothing but time to explain things.
20 minutes of filler, and there could have been 20 minutes of explanation.
So frustrating. The Doctor looks especially washed out in this serial.
Yeah.
Like he's wearing lighter makeup. They did something with the lightings. Even his hair looks more blonde. Like, what happened?
I don't know if the lighting changed, or if his makeup changed, or if he might have been under the weather. Don't know.
Yeah, different. Everyone looks different. The Doctor came out.
Well, if
It's like
everyone
they had
looks different, it's
season
probably
three.
the lighting change.
Yeah. Well, Joe Grant Perry looked different because the hairstyle. And
Well, not only that, but she was wearing clothes. Yeah. But she looked great. She did look great.
H.G. Wells or William, 1984. We talked about how the Doctor had been there before. We talked about how the Joe Grant locket doesn't make sense. We talked about our two new companions, Herbert and Vina.
No, they were not companions.
Mm-hmm.
No. BBC does not consider them
companions.
companions, and they are the definitive source.
Do they say that Sarah Kingdom is a companion?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Mm.
Where do you find that list?
It's online.
And then we talked about Perry's necklace being taken by the android.
Yeah, we did.
For some reason.
And we don't know why, except Borat's a creep.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
I think maybe it had something to do with like his cloning stuff, or I don't know.
Borat's a creep.
Carfield symbol. At first I thought Megalon was his name. Borad's name was Megalon. And I thought he might have been a Time Lord, but no, he wasn't a Time Lord. He was a Carfel who experimented with time distortions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, he experimented with a lot of stuff. Eventually,
Reptiles.
time distortion was one of them, but the Doctor hadn't been there in like 60 years, you know?
Yeah. And he did, we talked about the dark nature. That's about it. Not a whole lot of questions. Pretty straightforward.
But yeah, this one should have been 3 old episodes, an episode and a half, and that stuff. Ended up being 2. But just to remember, we were going to talk about the upcoming stuff for Doctor Who releases, which we talked about on Doctor Who News. We talked about on Heroes and Villains, but we haven't talked about on the main podcast because we lost the battery last time.
And did we talk about? So we went from half-hour episodes to this season being hour-long episodes.
45 minutes, yeah.
But that's just this season, or
Just this season.
and then
Until
they
we
go
get
back
to
to
the
the
new
half-hour stuff.
Right. We go back to the half-hour stuff next season and the rest of the classic. Then we have the TV movie, which is like an hour and a half.
Uh-huh.
And then we get to the modern stuff. It's mostly 45, 50 minutes, but it varies.
And did they do that just to stick it into a specific time slot or something, or they go and then go back?
It was to try to reduce the episode count so they could kill the show. And they were trying to kill the show. And notice next season is 14 episodes, but only 25-minute episodes. Yeah.
So they are reducing the runtime.
They do,
count.
and this was a way to kind of do it.
Oh, you think it had to do with like contractually? It's like
Something,
this many
I don't
episodes,
know.
and they're like, how do we divvy this up to be? less budget.
All right, so coming up for Doctor Who news, we have the Daleks, the expurgated version, and
Expurgated?
Expurgated.
Expurgated.
Edited down. Expurgated. Edited down. Version and colorized, coming out March 19th. For us, the United States. Yeah, March 19th. Which is sad because we already have the TV movie, which did the we already have the movie, Doctor and the Daleks, which did the same thing. Alright. Then we have the Celestial Toymaker, April 9th.
That one
finally
we're
get that one.
for. Yeah.
Yep. And we still have the Underwater Menace we need to watch.
The Underwear Menace.
No. Which we have up, which I have up there.
That was my nickname in high school.
Underwater Menace?
The Underwear Menace.
Okay.
A lot of
sure. Alright. And then there are a couple of seasons, Blu-ray seasons coming out. The 5th Doctor 20th season.
Isn't that a pretty color?
Lime green, okay.
Yeah, I want to get like 1,000,000 of these and make like little bottle cap chainmail armor. It'll be like lime.
I've actually seen that before.
Yeah? This color?
Well, not that color, but I've seen chainmail armor like that before.
Yeah, where they make it out of the bottle caps too.
Yeah.
Or the tabs.
So season 20 for the 5th Doctor is coming out April 2nd, 2024. April 2nd this year.
That's coming up?
Yeah, April 2nd. And season 15 for the 4th Doctor is coming out on Blu-ray June 4th. June 4th. So
it's a good month.
Yeah, that's our updates for Doctor Who news. Yeah. Alright. Any other questions?
You heard it here first. Well, you heard it here second because they heard it the first time in the Heroes and Villains.
If not, if you don't pay attention to Heroes and Villains, you heard it here first. But
we don't know the crossover between you. Do you ever look at the analytics?
Not really.
Heroes and Villains get less views than the main podcast stuff? Or?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Just generally, yeah.
It's how most spin-offs go.
Exactly.
It's fascinating. I wish we got more viewers, not because I want us to be more successful, but just because I want more data to look at. That's it.
Alright, we'll see you next week, hopefully.
See you next week?
Possibly 2 weeks, but hopefully next week.
Next week or 2.
Alright,
stay tuned.
So,
season finale.
Season finale 143 with Revelation of the Daleks.
Revolution.
Ba-da-bum.
We have a lot of